G'day, and how you going, legends? Welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me are Jared and Willie. And Remy. How you going, Jared?
I am going really good. I'll just get rid of this thing. There you go.
And how you going, Willie?
I'm going all right. Busy day. It's been flat out, actually, so we're going to a long weekend here in New Zealand, so all good here.
So you got tomorrow off or Monday off?
Both.
Living the dream, mate.
Yeah, mate, long weekend, 4-day weekend. It's going to be great.
Happy days.
Apart from the 9-year-old's birthday party tomorrow, which will not be the best of fun, but we'll have to soldier on through it.
I ask you, Willie, who's going to drive you around if the apprentice is a long weekend?
Hi, I've only got 6 days and I get my license back.
Hey, there we go. So this time week we'll be celebrating Willie having wheels.
I'll be allowed to drink drive again.
Shit. I did it in the first 5 minutes, whatever. So, yeah, we've got a bit of an interesting one here. Obviously, we've got some comments to start off before we even get into the game. So Edmund Byrne is saying it wasn't pretty, but it was effective, a great point away from home. Heavy Vibes is saying bonus points, Scales to take over from Calmac as the next captain. Happy as a big happy thing. John Clements is saying we rode our luck a bit in the first half, with a touch of luck on the road, but never under massive pressure in the second, especially the last 25 minutes. Trusting Scales were immense. Mahesh is Celtic back to pressing tactics they rehearsed pre-season. 3-quarter press. Atalanta played in the Celtics' hand by having one less man up front than Dortmund. Yeah, so there was quite a bit going on there with the game, but I'll go to this comment here from Andrew. It's a bit weird celebrating a 0-0 draw, but we did well. So for me, before we actually dive into it all properly, I'll openly put my hand up. As you can hear, I'm crook. I haven't been well all week, so I haven't seen the game from start to finish. All I've seen is the highlights and bits and pieces here and there. So I'm going to be having to rely on Willie and Jared for the game analysis sort of thing. But me and Johnny on Monday's pod were talking about, I thought we were going to lose 3-1. That was just my gut feel. I didn't expect to go pick up a point over there. So I said if it was a draw, I'll take it. So I'm happy with that. But the key thing we spoke about was what lessons will have been learnt from the Dortmund game that we can put into place here. And Mahesh made a comment saying if Rodgers goes for those suicidal tactics again that he did in Dortmund, we'd be in trouble. Well, it looks like there was a level of pragmatism and we learned some things. So for me, what I've seen and what I've heard is that's more like it. So what I'll do with the whole run sheet and what we're going to do, Willie, is I'll go through the starting lineup as usual. There was 2 surprises on what I was expecting. So for me, the backline picked itself as what we were expecting with Schmeichel in goals. The question was, would it be Hatade staying in because he'd started on the weekend, or would Bernardo come in? And then up front, Ida in, Kyogo out. They were pretty much the 2 changes there. So when you saw that starting lineup, Willie, what was your thoughts, and what was your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see Ida's name on the starting lineup. I really thought this was a game that would suit Kyogo to use his pace to try and... when I looked into how Atalanta were going to play, you could see from all the videos and the analysis I was reading is they play a very tight man marking system, and the man moves around the pitch with the player. So I thought this game would be suited for Kyogo because his perpetual motion up front would have been able to drag defenders all over the place. And so I was actually really surprised to see Ida in the starting lineup, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was a move that worked well for Ida. He worked his socks off, but there was to no avail, and for him, I'm afraid. And the first half, yeah, we started all right in the first half. I mean, we had a couple of goals at them. We kind of the midfielders found themselves in a little bit of space in the half areas. And they managed to flick a couple of balls round to Kuhn and Maeda to try and get run onto, but it never really came to anything. And after about 25 minutes, Atalanta really started turning the screw, and you could see like the pressure was building and building and building as the half went on. And as it came towards the end of the half, you could see Celtic were really kind of clinging on a bit, and there were some really smart saves from Kasper Schmeichel and amongst all that to keep us in the game. And we get into half time at 0-0, which is a bit of a shock for me because I really thought we were going to concede at some point there due to the relentless pressure we were putting us under. But all credit to them, they came out at, like I say, 0-0 at half time was a great score for us. Like, really good. Like,
Jared, you got anything to add to that?
Okay, the question was,
What was your
what
thoughts?
did I think when I saw the opening lineup?
Yeah. And your thoughts on the first?
All right, so the only surprise for me was Ida. Like I was expecting Hatate because of the last Champions League game. Like either way, like for me, either one I thought was going to do a decent job no matter what happened last game. But I was expecting Hatate to play, and I actually think Hatate played really well. Ida was a surprise for me, just like Willie said. Like everything going up to it was they're a very strong man marking defense, and so I thought, well, that's going to give Kyogo a chance to get off his man and like move him around. And I thought this would like be a great game for Kyogo. Like when I saw Ida, I was like, okay, well, maybe we're expecting to have the ball in their third and be crossing the ball in more. But I feel like that it actually like it hindered us because every time we got the ball forward and it went to Maeda or Kun, like if the ball got to them, because like they were doing really good, great English, Jared. They were doing really well in cutting off balls and making it hard for wingers to get them. And when they did, there was nothing. Like there was nothing to cross the ball into. So we were lucky when we were just getting corners. And then at one point, I think it was like 20 minutes in the game, the ball went to Ida and he ran down to the corner and he was holding it up in the corner. I was like, all right, good. 70 minutes, just hold the ball in the corner and we'll get a 0-0 draw if you can do that. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, to me, I'm like, I don't want to bad out Ida. Like, I feel like he was put into a bad position, but it felt like he was just an extra central defender for them because we were defending, getting the ball forward, and I was just like, oh yeah, cool, it's coming back. Like I didn't feel like Ida really done anything, and you could see the difference when we get to the second half as soon as Kyogo come on. But I mean, everyone else, like that's what I was expecting from the lineup.
Funny thing about the whole Ida thing is I've seen people talking about, oh, was he in the lineup to be like the extra bit of size to defend the corners that they were going to get? Because, well, you look at how good they are whipping in their crosses. Like, they love it. And Robert Gibson in the comments, I have to bring this up. Palmer, Wanker, and good evening all. Funny thing is, when I woke up this morning, I was reading through our group chat. I think it was you, Willie, who commented that, oh, Palmer's coming on. Robert Gibson would be loving that. So you made it even into our group chat.
I said he's probably smashed his TV
he played
watching
well.
Come on. He did actually okay, actually. There was one instance in the 93rd minute, he closed his man down. Even I was sitting there looking, is that Palmer? Did I just send this? Like, you know?
It's a bit of a funny one. So just, yeah, with the, normally we'd talk about first half goals after the general chat, but there were none. So what I want to talk about instead is the first 25 minutes of the game. Honestly, Atalanta could have been up 4-0 if it wasn't for Kasper. Mm-hmm. And a couple of lucky things, like a hit of a crossbar and then a rough bounce, and then the header over the top, for instance. A few other chances where they should have. So I think sometimes you say better lucky than good, but I actually thought it was good to see, and the stats for the game were pretty ridiculous. It's what we do to teams in Scotland, but
yeah,
got the point. So happy day is there. But second half, Willie, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the second half. I mean, we sort of. I don't know. Did they run out of ideas because our midfield sort of screened the back four pretty well. I think Ingles and Kalmak and Hatate did a great job of screening their midfield because every time they got the ball, I know they play with the high wing backs and they like to go out wide. But we kind of forced them into that wide areas, and all they could do was cross the ball. When they try to stretch our defence and create the overload, the middle was having the midfield 5 yards closer to the defence really worked well for us, and they couldn't really sort of get that overload where they could pass the ball into the centre and pick us off from there. So we forced them into the wide area, and all they seemed to. I think they had 15 or 20 crosses throughout the whole game. And we sort of dealt with them quite easy. But the longer the game went on, the more comfortable I became with them having the ball because it seemed to me like they were starting to run out of ideas after about 20 minutes into the second half. And after that, Scales and Trusty really started to impress me the way they were just handling everything that was getting thrown at them from there on in.
I've got a question for you, Willie.
Yeah.
How do you think Valle went closing down the crosses and everything as well over the course of the game? Because normally that's something that we all see Greg Taylor copping a bit of trouble about, whether he gets found out in Europe because of his size. Valle's a little bit taller. Did he make much of a difference at left back position, closing down and challenging the crosses, in your opinion, or was it pretty much the same sort of thing we've been seeing?
No, I thought he did a lot better than Greg Taylor has done in Europe for us. I thought he defended reasonably well. I thought him and Dyson Maeda tracked back and they kept. I'm trying to remember the boy's name now. It's here somewhere. I've got it in one of my notes actually. But they seem to limit him to. I don't know. Was he more scared of Bellanova? That's the guy's name. Sorry about that. I don't know. Was he more cautious of Maeda's pace? And if the ball could get flicked from the half space into Maeda, then Bellanova might be in a lot of trouble trying to take on Maeda in a foot race. But as for Baye, I thought he did okay. Like I think Taylor will be sitting on the sidelines wincing, thinking I might have just lost my place in the starting lineup here for good. Like because I thought he did okay. Like.
And Jared, what was your thoughts?
What was the start of the question? Because I remember I thought of something and then he kept going about Valle. What was the?
So what I was
Please
saying.
repeat the question.
What I was saying about Valle was with the whole Greg Taylor, he usually gets a pile.
All right, cool. I know that. I thought there was a question before that.
Nah.
There was actually one play that I vividly remember in my head where Valle was at the back post and he headed the ball away, and I remember thinking Taylor wouldn't have done that. And so when we're in the box and it was heading the ball away, that sort of stuff, I think Valle done a really good job. I think he done a pretty good job going forward. And I think he does a better job than what it looks like on defense, but holy crap, he looks erratic. He looks like he's all over the place and his limbs are just flying everywhere. And it looks like even in the last game, he was just falling over. But I don't know if he is as bad as he makes himself look by being that way. But going forward, he was great. Crosses and protecting the back post, I think he was great. Defensively, I think he done a really good job. Not perfect, but it's definitely one of his better games for Valle.
That's good to hear. So what was your overall thoughts on the second half, Jared?
Second half, I was actually quite disappointed that Kyogo wasn't brought on at halftime for Ida, because I felt like that was the only kind of position that was kind of missing in that pressing. And like as soon as those first changes happened, like Kyogo and Bernardo, like it looked like our team completely changed, like from back to front. Like just having Kyogo on there, like we were getting forward, getting down the wings. And there was actually someone there to get the ball into. It would have been interesting. Like, we're not going to, like, hindsight, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. We still got away with a draw, but all of our subs played really well, including Palma. Like, I don't think Palma set a foot wrong except for maybe one foul, and that was it. But we kind of looked like they did in the first half, but without the shots. But we looked a little bit more dominant on the ball. We were passing the ball a little bit better, but you could tell like communication was off just a little bit with players, where if someone had just got into the end of another ball, like, it would have been great, but they're all subs and they weren't playing together. There was like a lot of really good ideas that just didn't kind of pull off, but that was more than what was happening in the first half. But I mean, you got to give credit to the guys in the first half. They did their job. I'm going to be honest, I didn't think we could defend like that. And also without CCV. I was super impressed. And also Trusty. Like, holy shizballs. Like he was phenomenal. And that was the comment I was trying to remember. When you said sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Like, Brendan in his press conference said sometimes you make your own luck. And there was 4 goals in the last game that I won't mention where it kind of went against our luck. And then in this game, you look at the exact same thing could have happened. Trusty came in and he went to close down and he blocked the shot and it slowed it up and it went into Schmeichel's lap. Last game, it came off of his leg and went into the top of the net. Like, that just seems to be like, it just seemed like this was our game where we make our own luck. Where the last game, it was like, what is luck?
But it makes sense because in the last game against Dortmund as well, like, what happened, there were so many times where we tried to clear the ball and they got to bounce the ball and they broke away on us. Where in this one, there was times where the bounce of the ball, like if that one I spoke about earlier on, where they hit the crossbar and then it came down at such an angle that it went too high for the guy following up on the secondary header. And then there was times where the ball was at the top of the box and Dortmund swooped on it and came flying in and scored, but this time it just bounced and went the other way. The exact same place. So, yeah, it's a bit of a interesting thing.
That was my other point. As soon as they got the ball, just like the header that came off, everyone was on it. Like, if this was a game against Dortmund, the guy would have been free to head the ball wherever he wanted. This time, Trusty was like right there to put pressure on him to get the ball over the net. Like, I feel like every time someone was about to take a shot, we had someone actually pressuring them and making them make mistakes, whereas I don't think that was happening before.
Yeah. That's like I say, the midfield between the Dortmund game and this game, the midfield was 5 yards closer to the defence, which meant when the ball ricocheted or found its way out of our defence, there's somebody in midfield ready to pick it up. There wasn't that little pocket of space for really pacey forwards or for attacking players like Dortmund had to get in that space between the defence and the midfield. It was really tightened up. We did learn our lesson, so that's kudos to Brendan Rodgers for that, because, like I say, is where they punished us was getting into that space in behind, or the space between defence and midfield, and whereas it wasn't there this time, and it was good to see that we can defend like that, and you can go out against a top drawer European team and defend. I mean, this Italian team are no mugs. They're the top scorers in the Serie A. You know what I mean? They won the Europa League last season, so they're a really good side, and we drew a blank with them. Like, you know what I mean? A clean sheet there is it's a phenomenal result for us, to be honest. Like,
yeah, some of their football, Willie, was just mesmerising. Like, there was one link of play where the ball went wide, went in, back heel, shot goes in, gets saved, and then they put a cross in and have another crack. And I'm just like, they've probably touched the ball to control it. It was like one touch passing the whole way through. So, yeah, it's just some of that stuff's amazing to see. And yeah, as Andrew Galea says here in the comments, the difference was the defensive midfield shape. We kept 2 midfielders behind the ball at all times and the wingers tucked in. So that's similar to what you were saying there, Willie, where the defence was 5 yards deeper. When we signed Engels, everyone's thinking he's like for Matt O'Reilly. But Engels is actually, if you look at his history as a player, he spent the majority of his time as a number 6. And Kelmack's more of an 8. So the fact of the matter is Kelmack wasn't getting dragged all over the place. There was someone else in the middle of the park. And then our wingers, we said on Monday, go to a 4-2-3-1. drop the wingers defensively back a bit further instead of pressing up, and then look to counter and attack off that. And yeah, from what I've seen and heard, that's what happened there. But I'll bring up some comments before we go on any further here. But there you go. Andrew was saying here, focus on the midfield positioning on McGregor in particular. He often gets dragged all over the place, and good teams exploit the space he leaves. This time he held his position. What do we got here? Now, I'm just trying to find it. There was a comment I saw early on here. There we go. Mahej. 5 of Atalanta's 11 shots in the first half were from headers in the box, so we have to fix that. Won't be so lucky next time. I'm honestly not too worried about that because we defended it well and we cleared it. Like, they can put as many crosses in as they want. Doesn't mean shit if they don't actually get on the end of it and do something with it. And then Uncle Nobby's vote is saying, when you play more pragmatic, you have to accept everything that goes with it, either playing up front included. Playing Kyogo makes you resort into a more attacking team, again, without knowing it. So the way I'm looking at that is either come on to play a role. He did his role early on, so I was happy with that. And then McLaughlin's saying here, it's weird how we and Zagreb are in good position after a 7-1 and an 8-2 hammering. Andrew said Valle was busy and did well enough. Let's keep scrolling through some of them here. And McLaughlin saying, I thought from the 70th to the 85th minute, we grew into the game, became a bit mature on the ball. We then retreated again for the last 7 to 8 minutes. What's your thoughts on that, Willie?
The last 7 or 8 minutes was that kind of nervy way, but then we threw on a lot of subs in that sort of last closing stages. So they were really looking for the win. This is a game they would have said, right, we need 3 points on this. So they would have really pressed us in that last 7 or 8 minutes, as your man is saying. So, but again, that last 7 or 8 minutes, I didn't really see anything from them that made me worried to say like we're going to concede a goal here. If we were going to concede a goal, it was going to be in the first half. And I was really fearful towards the end of the first half, the way they were going, the way they were pressing and pushing us. But now the second half, like I said, the longer the game went on, the more comfortable I became on the couch. I wasn't hiding behind it this time round for an away day in Europe.
I thought it was a 3-coucher, Willie. Be behind 3.
Well, I was thinking that the night before. I ended up having a big whiskey the night before, thinking, oh no, tomorrow's going to be a sore one. So, but it wasn't. It was actually quite an enjoyable experience.
So Craigie White, much needed pride back. And then he asks, do we need to discuss Engels? So we'll use that as a segue into our player focus that we normally would. I had one other stat thing I wanted to throw out there before we roll into the individuals, though. So against Dortmund, our expected XG against was 2.64. They smashed 7 against us. Against Atalanta, the expected XG against us was 2.33, and it was a clean sheet. So based on all your stats sort of stuff, and this will be one for Mahesh to explain for people like myself who doesn't understand it in great detail. How can you have that? I don't get it. But anyway, we'll get into the actual player focus is our next part. So, Jared, if you want to start it off here, what I want to know is who would be your man of the match, and then we'll go through each individual player.
It's a toss-up, but I'm going to go Kasper Schmeichel. Like, he did his job. Like, at the end of the first half, Kasper Schmeichel had the most amount of passes for our team, and he's a freaking goalkeeper. Trusty had the most amount of passes. Kasper Schmeichel had the second amount of passes. Now, and like, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had a clean sheet. Also, the defense, actually, the whole team, we wouldn't have had a clean sheet. But he also kind of controlled that back. And when you listen to him in his interview after the game, he was talking about how they're going to play that man-to-man defense. And so he's the extra person that's not covered. So he needs to get the ball more. So he needs to actually create stuff. So if he gets past the ball, that means that one of the defenders is coming off, which means someone's now open. So he needs to do that. And I think like just not just his play, but I think his leadership and everything that went around that. Like if you could, you would give it to the two centre backs and Kasper Schmeichel. And if you give it to any three of those, you're not wrong. But I just think the fact that it was a clean sheet, he had a couple of like really dangerous shots put in at him. I think the difference between last game and this game is all the shots actually had pressure on them, where they were getting free shots last game. But a clean sheet in the Champions League, when was the last time we done that? What 2017 or something? I read. I don't know. I don't remember.
That was the last time we had a 0-0. It was 2018.
Last time I didn't know.
Anderlecht away.
So yeah.
Here's a stat for you as well, Jared, since you love it. Kasper Schmeichel, 6 saves in this game. Against Dortmund, he had 6 saves. First goalkeeper in the Champions League to do that since 2004 in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
I don't know who the goalkeeper was before that, but yeah.
Yeah. So me, like, just like, because I'm thinking outside, I'm thinking about his leadership as well, and the way he was trying to, you could see every time he got the ball, he was looking at where can I get the ball forward? How can I start an attack? Everything like his leadership, his calming presence. He was probably controlling the centre backs, telling them what to do, where to go, all that sort of crap. I think I would give it to him, but either one of those three, I don't think you could argue.
And Willie, who'd be your man of the match?
I've gone for Austin Trusty. I think the rumour is he won the halftime raffle because he won everything else last night. I thought he was immense. Like, it just really, it's one of these sort of coming of age of performances, I think, for him, because he's really sort of put himself out there. The fans really appreciate a performance like that. You know what I mean? After a couple of dodgy ones behind him against Aberdeen and Dortmund, this one really stands out for me. So for me, the most improved performance is Trusty. I mean, he's man of the match. But I will say with Kasper Schmeichel, it is something that's calming for me now is watching the ball get played back to him. You know what I mean? You know when the ball hits his feet, he's going to be able to pass it quite quickly. Whereas with last season, when it was Joe Hart, the ball would start getting passed around that sort of little triangle at the back between defenders and the goalkeeper. I'd have my head in my hands going, just get it. You're quite comfortable. As soon as it's more if it goes to someone like Scales, like, all right, get it away. Whereas if it goes back to Schmeichel, you're like, right, okay, I'm happy with that, like, you know.
As Heavy Vibes is saying, which I've got up on the screen at the moment, Kasper is the best passer in the team. Yeah, so realistically, I'm looking at it going, yeah, man of the match, pretty simple. It goes to Kasper, obviously, or Trusty, or Scales, at those three. But yeah, for me, it's Kasper, definitely. So, player focus. What I normally would do is I'd go through the lineup, read the silly bug.
Dan's not here, so can we just go? Dan will say man of the match was Liam Scales.
Yeah. I'll have to say it's shut up, Dan.
The Ginger Union.
Shut up, Dan, dickhead.
Yeah. So, according to one of the red tops, Kasper Schmeichel got an 8. Then we go through Alistair Johnson, an 8. Austin Trusty, 9. Liam Scales, 9. Alex Valle, 8. Colin McGregor, 7. Arna Engels, 7. Rare Hatade, 7. Kun got 7. Ida, 6. Maeda, 6. And then subs as Bernardo got 5, Kyogo got 6, Palmer got 4, McGowan got 4, and Jamesy got 4. So let's just talk about any particular players you boys want to touch on as well. And their performance. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. I've seen some stuff online about Alistair Johnson where he did really well considering he got booked early on to play as well as he did defensively and not pick up a second booking, especially when that's the ref who sent off 2 of our guys in Feyenoord last season. So
Yeah,
I'll give him some.
that was my first thought when he got a yellow card. The first thought was, this is the ref that sent our guys off. I'm like, we're not going to last. We're going to get a bunch of yellows. Also, it was a bad tackle by Johnson.
He was
But the
pretty
fact is,
alert.
I think that was the only yellow for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's quite alert as Zappacosta's movement the whole time, and he kept showing him the outside, which meant Zappacosta had to cross the ball. I mean, he did get a lot of crosses in there, but he was, like I say, he was alert to his movement throughout the game, and he did make some timely interventions too. So yeah, he is worthy of a high score.
So we've already spoken about Casper. We've spoken about Johnson now. We spoke about Valle before. Scales and Trusty. I'll go to you boys about them. The Ginger Baresi, Scales, and Austin Trusty. What's your thoughts? Because we discussed on Monday that people were saying that at Sheffield United, Trusty was rubbish, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, to do that in the Champions League game, players with higher price tags haven't done what those two have done. So what's your thoughts, Jared?
All right, so I'm glad Dan's not here because I think Trusty, from when he came in, even when he had a bad game, I could see you could see that he was a decent player. He's had 2 bad deflections that I don't think were his fault. He was just trying to stop them, and he's accelerating a lot faster than what Scales was, and he hasn't even been playing on the left-hand side, which is his stronger side. And shut up, everyone in the comments are like, it doesn't matter what side you play on. Right now, if CCV came back 100% healthy, I'd like to see what Trusty could do again outside CCV. And it's not because Scales has been bad, but like just at the end of the game, Scales regressed and he started doing his grabbing and he couldn't get the high balls. And I have nothing against Scales much, but I think Trusty just looks like he's got a higher ceiling. I feel like Scales is kind of Scales is almost at his ceiling, but I feel like Trusty, in his trajectory, I feel like his ceiling is a lot higher, and he's faster, which I don't think matters too much in the Scottish League, but in these sorts of games, when we're playing against the top teams, speed kills.
Yeah,
Really,
I kind of agree. I know there's no one else to go to. I agree with you. Like, I think Trusty's got pace and power. He's good in the air, and I think he's got a natural partnership to form with Cameron Carter-Vickers. They're both American. They both play for the American national team. So I think there may be something there that, I mean, it's going to be hard for Brendan Rodgers to just drop Scales. But watching Trusty's performance last night, I was relatively impressed with the way he went. But Scales had another superb showing. Like he really limited Ritigu's chances to very little, if any. I think he had like 1 shot for the whole game, and his challenge in the 75th minute was absolutely epic. Right, you know what I mean? It was another great performance from him. So all round, I think he's worthy. I think the Red Top gave him a 9. I've got the 2 of them at 8 each. Right? So I thought it was a good performance. I mean, the 2 of them were solid as a rock the whole game, Mike. So it was good for me.
But also, you think, like, if CCV is healthy, does he come straight back in and bump one of these 2 guys out?
Definitely, because it gives balance. Right now, Trusty and Scales are both left-footed centre-halves, and Trusty's playing out of position. I would like to see Trusty play at left centre-back next to CCV, who'd be at right centre-back. And I really do think that would be a really good partnership.
It's kind of funny.
But I'm thinking normally we rush players back. Like, does this mean we don't have to rush CC back? Like, so CCV, if he could come back next week and play, like, would this give us ability to go like, let's just wait till you're ready? Jared's back now, so he can take over.
No, I was going to say with the centre backs, the conversation you're saying with like the two left-sided centre backs there, it's kind of a reversal for when it was CCV and Starfelt, and everyone would get on Starfelt with the shit he copped, and then you have a look now, and it's been, Trusty looks awkward, he looks disjointed, blah blah blah. Trusty is playing the Starfelt role he played in that team, so now by flipping it, you bring CCV and it gives you more balance. Now we actually have two quality left-sided centre backs there, and we have one quality right-sided centre back in CCV. It's a lot easier to find another right-sided centre back. So I wouldn't be rushing CCV back in. We've got 3 guys, and someone in the comments is saying we wouldn't want to be dropping Scales. I wouldn't be dropping either. I want a full 100% fit CCV before he comes into the team.
Yeah. Like I say, I mean, CCV is your right-sided centre back, and then you've got it's a headache for Brendan Rodgers. I mean, Scales' form right now is through the roof for a player at his level, and he seems to be growing into that. So dropping him is going to drop him to push Trusty into that position. It would take a big set of cojones to make that decision. But I do think Trusty and CCV would be a more natural looking partnership than Scales and CCV for some reason. But this is the kind of headache you want. You don't want the headache of going, all right, we've got a third centre back with Navarrotsky. He can't even get in the team, and he's a right-footed centre back. You know what I mean? This is the kind of headache you're looking forward to having. Like, oh, which player are you going to drop? Are you going to keep this player in the team? But it's good. It's a good headache, like I say. Like,
as long as we don't see Welsh back in the team, I'm good.
Yeah. For me, from once Trusty came in, we've got rid of a few more centre backs, and everyone was like, we have one centre back. It was CCV, and Scales has elevated himself. Now Trusty's elevated himself. So without actually trading or buying anyone or selling anyone, we've now got 3 centre backs for 2 positions with just letting them get on the field and actually show what they can do. So yeah, I'm glad I'm not making the decision.
It's good to have those 3 starting level players for 2 spots. It's great to have that option because, as I said, you don't want Welsh. You don't want to go into a game where, remember the old Champions League qualifiers years ago where it was always, who's coming in? We'll play near Bitton at centre back. So I know I'm giving people the fear, and that it's good to have options so we don't end up in that again. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Midfield boys, what are you thinking? You happy with anyone in particular you want to touch on there? I know people have said we've got to talk about Engels. All I'm going to say with Engels is put his price tag to the side. Okay? There's no point. It's not his fault what we paid for him and what his club demanded for him. So I'm putting that to the side. I still think there's a quality player there and he'll come good. It's just a matter of time is where's the consistency been for him so far this season? Has he been part of a consistent midfield 3? No, it's always chopping and changing. Has he always been consistently in the number 10 role or the number 6 role or the number 8? No, it's chopping and changing. So it's a matter of giving him some time because as we've said numerous times, if social media was around when Larson debuted, he would have been people saying throw him in the bin after 2 games. I'm not saying he's Henrik Larsson, but what I'm getting at is we just need to give him some time. I'd like to see McGowan get a bit of a run, especially more in the league. What's your thoughts, Willie?
I think it wasn't a classic performance from Engels, but I don't think he did too much wrong. Like, you know, I mean, the 3 of them sat, and like I said, they shielded the back 4. The 3 of them sat there, and one of them would step forward and try and get into the half space and get a flick on to the wingers. But overall, I thought the midfield did really well, and I think some of the criticism he's getting is a bit harsh, if you ask me. Like I say, he was there. He played in the number 6 role. We played. They all were playing a sort of defensive role. Even like Hatate, he's not known for his defensive abilities, but he really stuck to that task last night as well. But I think I gave Engels a 6. I say it wasn't a classic performance from him, but there's enough. You can see enough in there to know he's a talented footballer, like, and he will come good. And it won't be long before he does start getting back into the form he showed at the start of the season when there was a lot of promise around him. Like.
You reckon, Jared?
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think when everyone was, I didn't realize until someone actually put it in the chat that people were bagging out Engels. I was like, why? Like, he did his job. Like, he was so told to sit back, and him and McGregor, like, if it wasn't for those two, I don't think the back four would have done as good a job as they did. Like, and I think the attack on him is because he's not getting forward, because that's what, like, all they're looking at is the attacking. Are you getting forward? Are you getting in spaces? Are you doing, like, he didn't get a chance to do that because he was busy doing his damn job. And when he did get forward, he had one shot, and it was a really good shot that actually, like, the keeper had to dive to the left to save it from going in that corner. And I remember it distinctly because I remember at the time going, holy crap, I can't believe he hasn't scored a goal for Celtic yet, except for penalties, because every single shot he has is a really good shot. It just ends up being saved. So like as soon as he starts getting the goalkeeper out of the way, don't know how you do that, but like all his shots are good. They're going to start going in at some point. Like the last couple of games, yeah, he hasn't been as good, but this game he was asked to do something different. He done it. It didn't involve going forward, but defensively, which is what I think his number one task was meant to be, he did a great job. We got a clean sheet. McGregor, great job. He was getting the ball in space, trying to move it forward. Hatate was almost like our striker at some points because Ida was coming back, and I think he was coming back because like he's big, so I think they were just trying to like get him come back for headers and things. So Hatate for I think half the first half was our striker, but he was getting like Hatate. I've been a little bit hard on this season because he's been inconsistent, but I think he had a really good game for when he was on. Although his attitude when he was coming off, the way he was slapping hands, I was just like, "Fuck you, Hatate! Like just be a team player."
His last two games have been decent for him, but what you're saying about Engels as well, like I just want to jump on that for a second because a lot of people are comparing him to the guy he's replaced. O'Reilly's gone out. Engels has come in. Different players. Now, what you're saying, Jared, and this is what brought this up from my mental space up here. It was rattling around a bit while we were talking, but everyone's thinking like, and I'm saying that we're comparing Engels to the player who replaced O'Reilly with all his goals last season. But go to the year before that for O'Reilly. He didn't score until there was like 4 games left in the season. So if Engels is having all these shots and they're getting saved and he's not scoring other than the penalties, no big deal. Because look what happened to O'Reilly the year before he did that.
Who replaced McGregor when McGregor was injured in that 6 role?
Yeah, O'Reilly.
It was O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
So it's about having that versatility in the squad, having depth players who can play multiple positions. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it at all.
Smell the glove sums it up quite well there. Like.
Whereabouts? Oh, down the bottom here. There we go. Smell the glove. I think people expect Engels to be Zidane because he cost 11 million. That's nothing in the Champions League. Give the boy time and I'd play him in the number 6.
11 million, you'd pay that to get a point against this team in Italy, which apparently we have never got a point in Italy. Is that true? Or we never won against in Italy?
No, we beat Lazio in Italy.
That was Europa League though, Willie. That wasn't Champions League.
Yeah, in the Champions League.
In the Champions League, no.
I think we're like 8-0 by like a lot. Like he did his job.
You got the point, 11 million. Yeah. So what do you get for picking up a point in the Champions League? Like $1 million, $2 million, something like that. So it all pays off.
Half a Rangers team.
Yeah. So realistically, play him in the 6, put Kelmack into the 8, free him up a bit. Done. Sorted. Next. But yeah, well, up front we speak about we've spoken about Ida, we've spoken about Carrier coming on. So Maeda and your man Kun, Jared, what's your thoughts on their performances? I thought the thing I thought I'll go with Kun real quickly is that he It's like, how do you get so fast? There's like certain patches where you look at him and think he's going quick, and then he's just got a couple of gears he doesn't have to use in Scotland at all. Jared,
yeah, I don't think they got a chance to actually do what they were meant to do. Like in the first half, like I don't know what broadcast you were listening to, but the broadcast I was listening to, they're going, "Oh, Kuhn had this amazing run," and I was like, "Yeah, he ran into two defenders, and then there was no one there to pass the ball to, so he had to try and do something, and it ended up going for a corner." But I was like, in the same, like Maeda, every time he went up the side, he lost a couple of dribbles, which wasn't great. But every time he went up there, he was too fast for everyone else, and we weren't pressing. Like we were busy defending, and no one was coming up and actually helping on the counterattack. So like it's really hard to be hard on Maeda and Kuhn because they done their job defensively and then had no assists, no help when they went forward, which I think was a little bit different in the second half when Kyogo came on, but then they both got taken off. So I don't know how you can be hard on them. They did their job defensively, had no help.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jared. I mean, Kuhn worked the socks off defensively. That's a side of his game I haven't seen yet in sort of that quality, and I was really impressed by it. Kolasinac, in an attacking sense, he couldn't get the better of him, and that's fair enough. You're at the Champions League. Sometimes you're going to run into players that are just simply better than you, and he did that. But again, like I say, defensively, him and Maeda, they covered the fullbacks because this Atalanta side, they play with high wing backs, and you've got to be sharp in that because they can really stretch your defence once they get the ball, and they'll move it quite quickly from the centre back into the half space, out to the wide, and before you know it, your team's stretched. And Kuhn, like I say, Kuhn and Maeda really did stick to the task, and they gave Valle and Johnson all the protection they needed. But again, I kind of feel hard saying this about Ida. It was a thankless task being isolated up there in the zone, but he failed to make the ball stick. And then when you're trying to bring in your wide men to try and get in behind the fullbacks, you need a striker there that's going to make the ball stick, give you enough time to get the runs on. And Ida just couldn't get going on that last night, unfortunately.
Yeah, we need a Giakoumakis type. That's what you needed in that situation. Someone who could hold the ball up, hold the guys off, be strong enough to do that, cop a few kicks and then still play the wingers in. But, yeah, I was going to bring up a comment here from RJL67. Just tuned in last night and today. People giving Ingles grief. Remember, he's only just turned 21. He's played, 6 or 7 games. Give the boy a chance. Smell the Glove was also, Ingles played a 6 at Augsburg. So, realistically, yeah, nothing too much to stress on there. We'll be fine. But, yeah, I just thought it was great that the team overall worked hard for each other. And that brings me to my final little question for you boys about this game. But is that the blueprint for Celtic playing away in Europe going forward? Do you think that that's what we need to keep doing when we play our away games against better teams in the Champions League? Or do we just keep playing our game? What are your thoughts? Jared, you're shaking your head, so I'll go to you first.
I shook my head when you said, is that the blueprint for all games? I was like, no. And then you said better teams. I said, yes. I don't think that's what we do for every game. I think we take each game as it comes, and Brendan will be able to look.
Did I say all?
Is that you just said, is that what we do for Champions League games? And I was like, oh, but then you corrected yourself. I think, I don't think it's what we do for Champions League and everything else. If you look at the players, that's exactly the same team that we have when we're playing in Scotland and playing that high press and attacking. So I think it's been great. Like Dortmund, I think if we lost 3-1, we probably wouldn't be as good as we are now. I think we were meant to lose 3 points at Dortmund, whatever. But the fact that we lost by that amount of points, I think is actually been good for us because they went back to the drawing board and went, all right, what else do we need to do? How do we get better? And now we've got this. this is now just another tool that we have in our Batman belt that we can pull out, whether it's against other teams, whether it's in the Champions League, UEFA League, whatever. But now, if we're against Aberdeen and we get to that point where we're having that 20 minutes where we're playing like shit, we can go, hey, let's go back to that and just sit in that for a little bit. We don't need to change anything. We just need to adjust a little bit, and we've got that now. So I think having that game against Dortmund has actually made us better overall, because now we've got another play, we've got a little system that we can actually do, which, like, if we can defend against freaking Atalanta, like, we're going to be able to do that against anyone in Scotland. And yes, we're going to get better at it if we play against, like, some of the other teams. I don't think we should go straight into that. We should come out in more of our style and try and attack. But if it doesn't work, guess what? We now have this in our back pocket, which I don't think we did when we were playing against that yellow team that I don't want to talk about. So I think we lost the 3 points, which we were expected to lose. We've come into this game and we should have got 0 points, but because we've got a brilliant manager, we learned from that, and it got us a point that we shouldn't have had any chance of freaking getting. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, so I'll go here with a comment. So Uncle Nobby Steamboat saying, not to be a Rodgers fanboy, but he has to be given some credit. This is an Atalanta team whose manager blew an unbeaten Leverkusen team away with his tactics. And you've got here from Inner Hype saying 2 wins for 10 points. Yeah, we've got 3 home games still to come. So what I'm thinking, Jared, is say if we're playing against Dinamo Zagreb, who we're a chance of beating, we play our normal game. We go at them and we attack them like we did against Bratislava. But yeah, as you're saying, now we've got a plan B or a plan C or whatever we classify this as. So yeah, it's a good one here. RJL67 is saying this team is learning. Is that what you want? This team's learning. Is that what you want? Long balls, not me. I want points on the board.
Give it time, your balls will get long. Gravity.
Smell the gloves saying, I'd take a backs to the wall away win in Europe to get a result all day. Be more expressive at home, but again, depending on the opposition. Yeah, so realistically, I think we dug in. We did well. RJL67, 4 points in the first 3 games. You'd have bitten your hand off for it. Willie, what are your thoughts on the tactic?
I think it's a tactic we will look to employ going away from home now. It's something that did work. We dug in. We got the point. We go and play. I mean, we've waxed lyrical about how good that Atalanta are. If we go and play Zagreb, I think Mahesh made a comment there. If we can get the transitions right and get the ball out to the wide areas and get that fast, rapid transition when they're pressing us and getting a quick transition on them, like, this is a tactic that could work away from home and get us some points in Europe. So it's just a case of honing in that, getting the ball out wide and getting Kuhn and Maeda into play and utilising that pace to try and hit on the counter. So yeah, it is something that I would like to explore a bit more.
The thing as well, like, you look at it and go, it's good to have this in our toolkit now that we can play this type of game away from home if we need to. Like when we played Villa in the last game in the group stages, away from home down in Villa Park, like, let's be honest, if they keep going the way they're going, they would have qualified already. So
on top, were they?
Yeah, they're on top. Exactly.
They're number 1.
Yeah, they haven't lost a game. So when we go and play them, it's good to have this in your toolkit because we can throw that out there and go, all right, what we got to do. If they suddenly go, yeah, we're already qualified, we're already through, there's no point for us, let's rotate some other players in, then we can look at it and go, all right, maybe let's have a bit more of a crack at them, but it's good to have this as an option. Oh, well, I think we'll leave the game talk there. We've pretty much banged on about it for a lot longer than I thought we would. So I want to have a bit of a quick little laugh with you boys about something. So when Hibs playing Hearts in the Edinburgh Derby on the weekend, right? So it looks like I got a question off the back of that. If Hibs lose, is Roy Keane the man to come in and replace their manager because he's been linked with them? For me, I want to know from you boys, from your point of view, is this a step back in the past bringing in a footballing dinosaur, or is this a good link up for them? What are your thoughts, Jared?
I think it's shit. I think they're bringing in a name. Like, I think they need to do more like what Aberdeen done. Go get someone who's actually got some sort of success in a lesser league that can bring it over. Like, you look at Jimmy Thielen, and I know he's the Aberdeen manager, but holy shit, Jimmy Thielen, like, brilliant. Like, we need more managers like that in Scotland. Look at Celtic. He went to Japan and got Ange, someone who was successful and doing a good job in a lesser league. Well, Japan's a lesser league.
What happened? They brought in Montgomery and
so,
Hibs. So there you go.
I like it's just another. It's a name that was good at doing his single job. I don't know if he is going to do a good job in Scottish football. I don't think it's a forward step.
Yeah, Willie, what do you think?
Won't happen. He's in too good a deal with Sky. He's got a good number there. He's not going to leave Sky to go there. If the game goes against Hibs at the weekend and they lose to Hearts and they do get rid of Sir David Gray, as they call him, I wouldn't be surprised if Bruni's name starts getting heavily linked with the job. I can't see it being Roy Keane, though.
Don't do it, Bruni.
I don't think he would take it.
Yeah, no.
He already turned down. He said he wants to stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we'll leave that there. It's a watch this space sort of thing. On Sunday, Celtic are playing away at Fir Park against Motherwell. So it's a 2 a.m. Monday kickoff for us here. What's that for you, Willie? 4 a.m. Monday for you? Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Mad on that.
Yeah, it's an absolute prick of a time for us. So what are your general thoughts, Willie, heading into the game against Motherwell?
Yeah, Fir Park, I absolutely hate when Celtic go to Fir Park. It's always a difficult game. They gave us some torrid times last season. I think there was 2 draws at Parkhead, and in the 2 games, we won both games at Fir Park, but they were very, very close games. So it's going to be a difficult game. Like, I'm fully expecting it to be a hard one. They sit 5th in the league. They're only 3 points away from Rangers. Like, they're in decent form. Lennon Miller's playing really well. He seems to be the hot name of the season this season. So I think it's going to be a tough game no matter what. I really do think we're going to have a back of a European game. We've had a really tough 90 minutes out there in Bergamo, and it's going to be a tough game. And watch out for the token hand, Andy Halliday, to persistently foul the whole way through the game.
Yeah, so I was just looking at it going, similar to you, Willie. It's going to be a tough game. We've got to get in there. And then, Jared, just off the back of that, like, what key areas would you focus on? What do you think are the key areas? And do you think we're going to chop and change the team much and make many changes to the team that just played away in Europe to then have to front up on Sunday in that game?
Yeah, that's the big thing that I was actually thinking of. Thanks for asking. But you look at how AJ finished that game. Like, he can't start in a couple of days against Motherwell. Like, he needs rest. And Maeda has not looked himself in the last 2-3 games. Like, it feels like he kind of it needs a little bit of a break. Yeah, he only played 30 minutes when he played for Japan, but also they've got all the training to get into the Japan team, and then he's also got all the flights back and forth as well. Yeah. And the last against Aberdeen, he didn't look like his normal self. And yesterday, like, he was okay, but he just he wasn't Maeda going forward. So I feel like he kind of needs a rest. Scales looked tired towards the end of the game. That's where it's going to be like, we can't be where we were last time, where we had so many changes and we almost lost to another division team. So we're going to have to keep as many players on, but we're going to have to be smart in who it is that we change and which changes we actually have. I am glad I'm not the manager, because we looked like there was a few players at the end of today's game that looked leggy and looked like they need a break. more than what I think we can afford.
Yeah. 90 minutes of chasing the ball is a lot more energy sapping than 90 minutes of controlling the ball. So for 90 minutes, we did chase after Atalanta and close them down and harry them. So it has been energy sapping. So it is a case of, do you start with a strong starting 11, try and kill the game off, or do you ring the changes and try and just keep the other players on the bench in case things don't go your way? It's a difficult decision for Brendan Rodgers to see which way he's going to go with it.
So what I'll do is I'll bring up some comments here. So Andrew Galea saying we got to rest Maeda, play Palmer. Robert Gibson straight away, no Palmer. And then he's followed it up with a drunk Maeda is better than a sober Palmer. Smell the Glove saying Maeda looks like he could do with a game off. So realistically, I'm looking at it going, here we go. Hype Forrest and Yang look good this season. I was just about to say bring James in for this game because these are the sort of tricky games where you play it away. If you're going to rotate some players in, you want to bring in a bit of that know-how. So this is a game that's got Jamesy written all over it. And I smell the glove saying start McCowan and Bernardo in midfield. I don't want to chop and change it too much, but yeah, well, Willie, what would your starting lineup be?
So I'd go for Schmeichel, Johnson, Trusty, Scales, Valle, Kalmar, Bernardo, McCowan, Kuhn, Forrest, and Kyogo.
Jared, what would yours be?
I'd go Schmeichel. I'd go Trusty and Naroki. And the Bricky. Valle. In midfield, I would go McGregor for the first half. He needs a break. He hasn't even come off the field. Hatate, he came off. And Bernardo. And then I would go Forrest on the left. Kyogo and Kuhn.
I know for me, I said I don't want to make too many changes, but I'm probably looking at making 5 changes. Simple fact of the matter is, well, are we comparing it to last week in the league, or are we comparing it to the game that was played today? Because if we're looking at that, Ida's got a knock, so he'll be out. So for me, it'll be Schmeichel in goals, Ralston. Ideally, I want to keep Trusty in. I want to play Naroski with him and give Scales a game off. But at the same time, if we don't rotate out the centre backs, I'm fine with that. Middle of the park, I'd take Kalmack out and put McCowan in for him. And then maybe half time, switch Bernardo in. And then up front, simple, Jamesy on the wing. I keep Kuhn on the other wing and Kyogo through the middle. And
almost the same as mine.
And the captain for the team with Kalmack not on the lineup would be James Forrest, obviously. I was talking about that bit of know-how. So, yeah, smell the gloves saying here, 6 points versus Motherwell and Dundee and crank the pressure up. Yep. You're getting to that point of the cycle that the Huns do every year where it's like, oh, we're going to be world beaters, struggle, sack the coach before Christmas. If you've seen that meme, you know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, good fun. So, what we'll do, score predictions and your final thoughts after that. So, I'm thinking we'll win this game. What do we got here? I'll go with this. Who's the snitcher saying 4-0, 5-0, whatever. I'm just going to look at what some of the other score predictions are saying in here. There was a 3-0 in there somewhere. There you go. Uncle Nobby's is saying 3-0 Celtic. Have a bit of a scroll. Keep going. Yeah, so, Willie, what's your score prediction?
I'm going for a very tight 2-0 win, and I think it will be Kyogo with the opener and McCowan with the clincher.
I was going to say 3-0. Kyogo, hat-trick. Why not? And Jared?
I was going to go with 2-0. I'm not getting too excited about this game. Motherwell, I think, are a little bit underestimated, and we are going to be tired. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. I will go Kyogo in the first half, and in the second half, I am going to go Engels penalty.
You know what's funny? Robert Gibson's gone 2-0. Andrew Gallea's gone 2-0. Smell the Glass gone 2-0. And then, right as you said it, this popped up. Uncle Nobby Steamboat, Engels score. Right, exact same moment. So,
Please responsibly.
Yeah. All right. So, boys, we'll go to our final.
Sorry, I'm going to go nibble Nobby's nuts.
Is that your final thought, is it?
I hope it's not.
For my final thought, I just want to thank everyone who has supported the Celtic Down Under team that are out doing the 1 Foot Forward fundraiser for mental health and suicide awareness. We set ourselves a goal to raise $1,000 in the month of October. We've doubled it, still with about a week to go in the month. So appreciate every single one of you who has done that, supported, made a donation. We appreciate it. So that's my final thought. Willie?
Yeah, movie recommendation: Deadpool versus Wolverine. Do not watch this movie if you're homophobic in any way, shape, or form, but it's funny as well.
And Jared?
Right. Do not watch me nibble Nobby's nuts if you're homophobic in any way, shape, or form. No, mine's more of a question because I've just been playing the new FIFA, where the hell it's called, the one that just came out. And every year I have the same thing. I will play as Celtic in Scotland. Once I've done that for a bit, I'll then put Celtic in England, usually in the second division, and work my way up. And then after that, I will grab a bottom team and try and work my way up in the English division. And I just want to know, who does anyone else play FIFA, and what do they do? Do they do that sort of thing as well, or do you try and get Celtic in the English, or do you put them straight into the Premier League? Do you put them in? Comment below. I want to know.
Let us know in the comments, everyone. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday night with the pot noodle, and Jared's going to be watching the comments, so let him know. Hail, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Hail.